After a thrilling win in the Sugar Bowl over the Texas Longhorns, the Washington Huskies find themselves competing for a national championship. I think some people thought this was possible coming into the year, but I don't know if anybody thought that was a realistic outcome. I don't know if a lot of people expected Washington to be competing for a national championship. I think even within their own conference, a lot of people expected Oregon to win this conference. Washington has surprised a lot of people, and they have done so with a familiar formula. Throwing the football has been their strength, and they will continue doing that. There are some concerns with the offense and with the defense, but there are things that they can do to combat that. To face a Michigan team that is one of the toughest that they'll face all year, this will be an interesting matchup for the Huskies. It will give them a unique perspective on how to win a football game. And they will have to dig deep, probably into their bag of tricks at times to win a national championship. Washington has done a great job of being explosive offensively. That's going to have to continue if they want to beat Michigan. Pace will be a big key for this because if Washington plays how they did against Texas and they're able to dictate that pace, Michigan cannot keep up. This is not a Michigan team that is meant to win a shootout. They are not, they don't have an offense that can hang with Washington's offense. So Washington takes it to Michigan's defense, then it will go heavily in Washington's favor. This offense is the best that Michigan has seen. And a lot of that has to do with Michael Penix Jr. Obviously, Michigan has faced a team like Ohio State, so they've faced a number of talented wide receivers, but also they have not seen a trio like Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan. So Michael Penix Jr. is the biggest difference there, but it's also a trio of talented receivers that give Michigan's defense plenty of trouble. Protecting Michael Penix has to be the biggest key, though. If you're not able to keep him upright, if you're not able to give him time to do what he does best, then you're going to be in trouble because the best thing that he does is throw the deep. If you watch the Texas game, you saw a player who makes some really pretty throws that are 30, 40, 50 yards downfield. He throws a really nice ball. He throws some lasers. And if you're not able to give him time to do that, then you're not going to move the football. You can find ways to make short routes work, but this is a team that thrives when you're able to take deep shots. And nothing will knock the wind out of Michigan's sails quicker than taking deep shots and connecting. Now, Michigan is going to create pressure. They're going to be physical up front. Washington's offensive line, I think, is prepared for that. It's going to be the most physical front that they've seen to date. But if you're able to give Penix just enough time to throw, he's not expecting a ton of time, but he knows he just needs a little bit extra time than normal to get his guys open. That being said, if there is pressure, I think one of the things that Penix does really well, especially against Texas this past weekend, was you saw him check down to his check down routes, to his hot routes. You knew he was going to find his guy. If he was not given enough time to throw, he knew exactly where he was going. He didn't panic. And sometimes that's going to be where against Michigan, you will have to do that. Michigan is going to win some battles up front. They will get pressure on Michael Penix Jr. It's just a matter of does he take a sack? Does he take a hit? Or is he able to find someone downfield? Or is he able to find that check down route? Pick up 2, maybe 3 yards. Maybe your guy's able to pick up extra yards in addition to that. Michael Penix Jr. is that veteran player who knows what he's doing. He knows what he's capable of doing. And that's how you get explosive plays. You just check down, you almost take the licks there where you're taking hits, you're taking the loss of that play to play for another down. You don't necessarily have to get everything on first or second down. If you have to take a check down on first down, you still have second and third to make a big play. Now, one of the concerns I have is what is Dillon Johnson's status going forward? At the time I'm recording this, I have not heard an update on his foot, but you saw him in a lot of pain. You saw him in tremendous amount of pain at the time of that injury at the end of the Sugar Bowl. And it's really disappointing because he has been arguably the X factor of this team. His ability to balance out the offense has been one of the best things for this Washington team down the stretch. And now they may not have him. Now, what does the backup situation look like? This is a team that's largely revolved around Dillon Johnson in the rushing attack in terms of running the football. But in offensively, it's obviously through the pass. But Dillon Johnson has been the stability in the rushing attack. He has been able to create balance for this team, for this offense. and now they may not have him. So what does that look like? Not that it's going to be easy because Michigan has one of the best rush defenses in college football. So if you're not able to run the football against Michigan, you probably weren't going to even with Johnson. But Johnson is a physical back that you have to either find a replacement or find ways to combat his absence. Because if you're not able to do that, if Michigan doesn't have to respect the running attack, then it's going to be more difficult for Penix to find guys downfield. It's going to be more difficult for him to make explosive plays because one of the biggest things that Washington wants to do is pick up the pace. You are going to want to make sure that Michigan is uncomfortable. They are not ready for this blistering pace. They are not ready for what this team has to bring. And you have to show that. You have to be able to not only just move the ball down the field through the air, but if you're able to find a rushing attack too, you're in good hands. The other thing, we'll flip to the defense because we're talking about the offense quite a bit. The defense is in for an absolute battle. While Michigan's offense doesn't get the most credit because they're not the most explosive offense, they are efficient. That offensive line is going to give Washington's defensive line plenty of trouble. They are going to have to work really hard to keep this offense in check because, again, you have to tip your cap to Sherrone Moore. When you looked at what what Michigan did really well in the Rose Bowl, towards the end of the game, you needed a drive at the end of the game to put yourself up, and Michigan did exactly that. You look at what this team did last week. Sherrone Moore did an absolute great job of understanding his strengths, understanding his personnel, and understanding his quarterback. You put JJ McCarthy in great positions to make some easy throws, but they are efficient and they are explosive. Washington needs to find a way to disrupt that. You're going to have to stop the run. That is the first item on the agenda for the Huskies defense. It's stopping the run. If you're able to stop Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, JJ McCarthy, it's because you're being physical with Michigan's offensive line. Yes, Michigan's offensive line has sustained some injuries, but they are still really talented. They're extremely physical, and you're going to have to find ways to slow them down. If you can't stop the run, it's going to be a long night. And again, Michigan is not going to pick up the pace. They are not trying to go at the pace that Washington wants to go, but they are efficient. They will pick up chunks at a time. They will run play action. And as we saw last week, sometimes you just need a 5 yard completion, like the touchdown to Tyler Morris. You just need to find him 5 yards down the field and let him bring it in for a 38-yard score. It's not that Michigan makes the most explosive plays, the biggest daggers, but they are able to make things happen in a way that not a lot of teams can. Not a lot of teams can do what they do as efficiently as Michigan does. And if this Washington defense is not prepared for that, if they cannot disrupt that flow, it's going to be a tough game. You're going to have to be efficient. You're going to have to take care of the football offensively if your defense cannot step up. And I really like this matchup for Washington. I think that this is a great matchup and one that could potentially favor them. This is a team that presents a challenge that Michigan has not seen before. Michael Penix Jr. is the difference in that regard. When you look at what they have faced this year in Michigan, they have not faced a quarterback like Michael Penix Jr. He is easily the best quarterback they have faced this year, and his offense is easily the best they've faced all year. So that's a different dynamic that we have not seen before. Now, obviously, Dillon Johnson's absence contributes to that as well. But you're looking at a team that I feel has a chance to be a special team. I don't think a lot of people expected Washington to have a chance to win a national championship. And obviously, it takes a special performance, but you're here. You found a way to get here. You found a way to win your semifinal game. And now you're in a position that not a lot of people expect you to be. Kalen DeBoer deserves a lot of love for what he's done. He deserves a lot of credit. And this is a Washington team that has their sights set on a national championship. This isn't TCU last year. This isn't a team that you don't expect to win this game. A lot of people expect Washington to win this football game, and it's easy to see why.